I'm up to about 20 hours in Ark Ascended. I am CouchCube. I feel it's time I can talk about the game, its differences, what they changed with the new edition, and really just clarify what's been upgraded. Notice I say new edition and not sequel. So you've got Ark Survival Evolved, which is what we're looking at here. Then you have Ascended, which came out a couple of months ago. This is running in Unreal Engine 4, and I just forgot about how primitive this looks after you step into the Ascended Unreal 5 engine. I think that's the first point I want to make, is how jaw-dropping this world is. The island is the sort of starter map. With the Ark series, they gave us, I think, 7+ DLC maps, and Ragnarok I think was technically free, but it was the variety that really kept me coming back, and that's one of the things I'm very much looking forward to with Ascended, is new DLC maps coming in. But as far as the island goes, the draw distance, the mist, the movement on the trees, the shadow work is absolutely stunning. What isn't is the way the damn thing runs. So it's having some problems on PlayStation 5 with something called screen tear, which is where the two tops and bottoms of the screen sort of detach and cause a visual ripple. Now the PlayStation 5 has got some hardware in it to reduce this, making the screen almost fluctuate as opposed to tear, but it does not seem to be working with Ascended. I still can't find anything concrete about what this game's running out on the PlayStation 5, and there is no settings within the options. The original Ark, you were able to put it on quality mode, and then sort of that FPS and resolution would be adjusted, but it's just one flat setting, which is a bit crazy at the moment. I imagine that might change. As mentioned in the split screen review of this game, if I ran this on a PC, I'd be straight in and I'd be turning the VSync on. That's what it looks like. It's struggling with what it's displaying on screen, and I think some things need to be tweaked in the background. But off the bat, looking at it on day one or month one, so to speak, it's one of the more stunning open world games I own. This Unreal 5 engine, its physics and the movement on plants, if something's coming through the woods and the way stuff shakes around, it's like film-like realistic. It's totally 10th gen on that front. It's just the performance of the damn thing needs to get its crap together. The game is also super user friendly compared to the original Ark. You saw those icons there pointing towards my tamed creatures. That is so handy, because essentially if they're at your base, that's a marker from there on in. Ark is ridiculously cold with helping you locate where you are or what's happening on that map. You have to sort of do it all by sight and memory, which is very cool. It increases the adventure, and you get very nervous if you're in a section of map that you haven't explored because you just don't know which direction is safety. But having those blue icons everywhere is kind of amazing, and I'm really surprised they didn't implement it earlier. What sort of game is Ark, and why is it still on a lot of people's calendars? It's also a very, very popular YouTube subject, with Ark YouTubers exclusively putting out content about the two games and receiving massive engagement. It's a huge section of survival video gaming. We are also in the photo mode for some of this, by the way. That's how I've got so damn close to these megalodons. But back to the game model. Why do I love it so much? And this is the big sell on it. Video games, I would say within the last 5 years, have become ridiculously handholdy and railsy, even with open world games. You've only got to look at the recent Assassin's Creeds. There's cutscenes everywhere. You're kind of on a step-to-step mission system. Ark's one of the few games that throws in loads of variables to a pot, and they will all mix around and appear as unscripted events that you've instigated, and it feels like you're in a living, breathing world, and the unexpected occurrences are organic. Look at these light sources here. Look at that green over in the distance. That's a drop. That's not a sunrise or anything. But we've also got independent light sources and shadows coming off the torch. You will stand still quite often and just have your breath taken away by this engine. Is pretty phenomenal. Back to its model, it's a little bit soulsy. When you die, you lose all of your crap, and it stays in that spot, and it's your duty to go back and get it, depending on how valuable that equipment was that you lost. So you have this psychology of stripping everything off before taking any risks. There's procedures, and then you will have something unexpected happen, and you'll lose a very valuable creature or piece of equipment out in the wilderness, and the whole focus shifts to fixing the situation. We're going to get into that in a second. I am looking at a cute little baby dodo here, and let's talk about that new infant system. Some dinos will be trailing offspring, and these essentially become yours if you tame that dino for next to nothing. Now, previously, to get extra dinos in that direction, you would have to breed them, get the eggs, put them in an incubator that was probably made out of the rarest substance on the entire map. A megalodon tooth is the final thing you need to get that thing complete. So it's been decidedly streamlined and made a lot easier to gather more than one dino when taming, especially if you rock up to a family. And seeing a miniature trike is ridiculously adorable. Just briefly back to the death thing. On the previous game, you used to get this giant pillar that would come out of the ground where your corpse was. Now you have a sort of black logo, which you can choose to remove. It can get a little bit annoying, but sometimes this game will hide your corpse and you will be combing a square foot of ground for up to 15 minutes trying to get this damn metal pickaxe back that you cannot be bothered to craft again. Now let's talk about what happened to me yesterday, because I think some of you may find some amusement in this. I cheat and don't invest in my structure at the start of the game. I want to just get cool dinos and cool equipment. And, you know, putting your roots down early on is daft anyway. You need to get in center of map at some of the better base locations. But this results in everything just being exposed out in the open. And yeah, rank 44 Baryonyx found us and murdered everyone. And then proceeded to hang around the base so that I couldn't get my death box, and also just couldn't use any of my equipment, be it a fire, workbench. Baryonyx by far is one of the better early mounts. Really good in the water, very good on attack, fast when running, can get out of danger, and one of the more formidable amphibious dinos on the map. Ark Psychology has very much turned that frown upside down. I now know where this guy is, and if I get my crap together I can come back with some trank arrows and maybe get that guy on my side. It didn't happen, and we'll get into some more details on that disastrous situation later. I've now got access to nothing. I'm marooned on a rock being chased by one of the more terrifying smaller dinos on the map, Eternal Troubadours, with poisonous bites. These things are quicker than raptors. At this point I'm like, you might want to just restart your map. That's another thing, it auto-saves. There's no go back to that load, get my Pteranodon back, everything's forgiven. Hell no, this isn't Red Dead Redemption 2. I had to just live with that situation. But it worked out, and Ark's one of the few games where playing it can do more damage to what you've already accomplished than not playing it. Now, I want to just talk about the photo mode very briefly. I think it's actually excellent, and hitting triangle pulls off that UI. You do have some glitches on the hair. That's to do with the wind, I think, not coming off. Water and waves and everything else just keeps going. I kind of think that's quite cool, and it comes in damn handy. I'll show you at the end of the video, because you can pause action and get a good look around now. Ark veterans will know that silhouette over there in that sunlight. So we've got Baryonyx and a bunch of raptors hanging around my death box. Now the whole area has just become a no-go zone. Look at this through the tree light, and the differences in day, even the differences in evening and morning, are pretty phenomenal. And I love the colours that get pulled out of the palette depending on what angle the sun's at. You also get that little lick of music when you reach a new day without killing all of your dinos, so it's pretty cool to be rewarded with beautiful sunrises and sunsets constantly throughout this game. They have made some adjustments on the dino commands, making them a little bit user-friendly, a bit easier to access, and a bit more workable. There were some glitches, particularly with the flyers, getting them to land. I'll show an example of that in a second. This also goes for things like Dino Cam and the third-person camera, which I don't particularly enjoy. I sort of was introduced to this game on a first-person front, and I just think that's force of habit. What I do miss from Ark Survival Evolved are the random mecha dinos that are put around the map to sort of incentivize you to grab them. I thought that was very cool, and I haven't seen any variation. I might be wrong there, something in the comments if they've kept that in. was also a little bit concerned about this performance once I got onto quicker mounts, or even worse, once I got onto a flyer. I thought the screen tearing and sort of frame drops would just increase because the game is looking at a vaster section of map, but it's actually fine. The good thing about this bad performance is that at least it's consistent. The other Ease of Life addition also comes in your tames being marked on the map permanently, and you've been able to see how much time is left for them to be tamed, or when the narco is going to run out. Man, that is important. How many dinos did you lose because you forgot the spot where they went down and, you know, they just got up and walked away because they came off the drugs? This is the growth speed of an obtained infant. It's ridiculous. If you guys remember doing the mating and bringing up the younger dinos, it would take quite a lot of time in game. This is vastly accelerated and not a bad level increase either. I think incubation and breeding is still a thing in the game, and it's obviously just put into mid to help you tailor maybe a particular breed. If you want to really up some traits, you can mate off certain pairs, but as a sort of starter addition, I feel that infant system is a little bit OP. Getting free dinos like left, right and center, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that if you're an experienced player, you know the headache of getting a free or bonus dino in that base level evolved game. The raptors are chasing an iguanodon off. This original base has just become an apocalypse. I've also found some quite strange anomalies with that photo mode. Talking about that pausing and being able to look around, you can get really close to dinos that you haven't tamed. You just need to fly near, pause the game, and you can roll that camera over. What is this? Is it something eating a snail? I don't know if paleontologists recognize that species. Alright, check out this heart-stopping moment. Bear in mind, my base is about 400 miles away, and this is my only pteranodon. Millimeters, mate, millimeters. And happens again as well. Check this out. I want to just talk about that pteranodon thing and the flyer thing in general. You have a command now that just says land one flyer. It doesn't work. I've never had it work properly, and if you get too close to the water on a flyer, you get bucked off and the flyer will remain on the spot that you were flung off, which could be over the water or even just half an inch too high for you to instigate that triangle to then get the mount back. It is so stressful. Pteranodons are really fragile and difficult to get the saddles for, and so losing one can seriously break your heart, and to have them be that unpredictable when you're not on them and not obey any commands is a little bit scary. Not scary as this Spinosaur, and yeah, it's not my original base, don't worry. So what exactly is my verdict on this game? Well, it's Ark Survival Evolved 2.0, set in the Unreal 5 engine, and it's got some tweaks and ease of life changes, but essentially the meta is completely identical. That's kind of a good thing for a lot of people who really love the series, but for anybody who is expecting an out-and-out sequel, brand new looking dinos or a different starter biome, can forget about it. But having that familiarity means you hit the ground running and you're constantly wowed by these stunning visuals. I think with colossal lifestyle games like this, what I mean is log in every day, run a server, you may even be in there protecting it from PvP players. Mucking around with those pillars and that system would completely upset your legacy audience, so they were chained a little bit to that original model. If you've never ever played this game, you really should have a look at it. It's doing things that no other video game even attempts. If you've seen my Power World review, you'll realize that this is just an adult, scary, visceral version of that, with awesome creatures, equipment and guns. Just about everything in that map can be tamed and work for you, and yes, you can get a saddle for this Megalodon and just career around everywhere, terrorizing the rest of the population. This is one of the most formidable or nasty early creatures encountered in the game. It's an alpha raptor. This guy is buffed and will be extremely difficult to take down, and you would not get the opportunity to look at these things closely if it wasn't for that new photo mode added. The detail on the eyes and the teeth and those feathers moving around on these raptors is totally 10th gen. It's completely amazing, and I really recommend having a good look at all of the dinos in the game using that photo mode. You just need to get close and you can move in and get really stuck in. I will link and annotate my split screen review of this game, and I will, of course, see you down there.
In the quarters, among them Osun Meat.